We'll have a roll call, please.
Eads.
Here.
Gidley. Here. Longenecker's absent. Milner's absent. Pinkerton.
Here.
Rupchuk Shaker's absent. Secor's absent. Sellers.
Here.
Webster.
Here.
Wendell.
Here.
Peace.
Here.
Klotz.
Here.
All right, do we have a motion for the minutes from the last meeting, please?
Make the motion, we approve minutes of the last meeting. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? There being none, they'll be as such. Okay, so we move on.
Sounds good. Play a game of does it work? Almost.
That's right.
Maybe. It's on. I wonder if it's dead.
I guess we'll.
Thank you for the slide. So this is your agenda for tonight. You've already gone through your roll call and minutes. You got two cases this evening, one minor subdivision, and then one rezoning request, and then a couple updates. Should be relatively short and sweet. Going on, we've gone through the minutes. Getting into Plan Commission Case 2025-11, Jacobs Arthur G. and Lisa J. Jacobs Arthur G. and Lisa J. 13268 Nutmeg Trail, Plymouth, Indiana 46563. A request for a two-lot minor subdivision of a 29.74 acre property located at 1221 Elm Street, Plymouth, Indiana 46563, identified as parcel 5032-08-00039 00018, zoned R2 Suburban Residential District. So for the request, the applicant is seeking to preliminary subdivision approval and creation of additional lots. The name of the proposed subdivision is not yet named. We're still working on that with the applicant. For the procedure, the sketch plan reviewed by the Technical Review Committee at the August 26th meeting, and the primary/secondary plat will be to be determined after this as he works and coordinates with his surveyor of choosing. We went through and we took an aerial photography from Beacon to kind of show you where we're cutting out. There's a house and a pole barn that's been under construction, working on its certificate of occupancy here at some point in the future. Here is the subject parcel as it pulls it out. It's going to meet all our setbacks as required. And then on the west hand side, there's a 50-foot easement providing access to the residual of the property. That's part of the requirement for access. And so we've put it there on the west hand side in coordination with the property owner. We went out and took pictures of the associated property and in context, looking up and down the roadways, kind of panning around. Then we kind of begin to pan across the northwest corner of that property where that easement is, and then his driveway would be immediately adjacent to that where the old street stub was. And that is the context for the subject lot and property out by the school. So for the analysis under the subdivision control ordinance, the Plan Commission shall determine whether or not the proposal has met the requirements and standards of the ordinance and has been substantially met before having a public hearing. Based on a cursory review of the proposal to create two lots, the Technical Review Committee did not see any issue with the intent, and the project would create one new lot with an easement for access to the residual parcel. The new parcel would then be annexed into the city while the residential would remain. I flipped that, my apologies. The new parcel would be annexed into the city and the residual would remain in the county under the 2-mile extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city. The TRC will still continue to review the project to be in conformance with the below decision criteria, which includes 5 different aspects. Those aspects include the establishment of minimum width, depth, and area of lots within the projected subdivision, coordination of subdivision streets with existing and platted streets and highways, coordination with and extension of facilities included in the comprehensive plan, and then fair allocation of areas for streets, parks, schools, public and semi-public buildings, homes, utilities, businesses, and industry, and then distribution of population and traffic in a manner tending to create conditions favorable to health, safety, convenience, and harmonious development of the city. Now for a recommendation based on the sketch plan provided and reviewed by the Technical Review Committee, staff would recommend approval of the proposal as meeting the intent of the subdivision ordinance, allowing the developer and design team to move forward into the preliminary plan stage of development. It's a lot to say he's cutting one property into two pieces, but the ordinance itself has some amendments coming in the future, depending on how fast we can handle a couple other things within the office, just to make some better clarity, especially for projects like this that are relatively simple in nature. Trying to slim that process down so it's not as strenuous, but also still uphold the intentions of the subdivision ordinance itself. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none.
Hearing none? Okay, so do we have a motion to open it up to the public? Do we need to?
The applicant may have some comments he may wish to
Okay.
say. There's no public hearing required
Okay,
for this portion, as it's just identifying whether or not you believe he meets the intent to move forward to work with the surveyor.
all right. Does, Art says he doesn't have anything to say, so does anyone else?
That's a first.
That's unusual, isn't
Yeah,
it?
highly unusual.
I'll come up there.
Can we put that in the minutes that Art doesn't have anything to say? Okay.
So there's nothing from the applicant and
Okay, so do we have
there's
a
no public
motion?
hearing.
I move we approve PC 2025-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We will vote by roll call, please.
You're just identifying whether or not you believe that it's meeting that criteria.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily believe that it needs to be a full
City-
vote because there's no
City-
final decision that's being created. There's no actionable piece.
Well, it doesn't hurt to go on record that they agree that it meets the criteria
Okay.
and can move forward to the next
Okay,
step of the
so-
process.
Sorry, proceed with your vote.
Eads,
Abstain.
Gidley,
Yes.
Pinkerton,
Yes.
Sellers,
Yes.
Webster,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Peace.
Yes.
So that's a 601 vote, which would pass out of 13. So we'll coordinate and work with the applicant to move forward into their next stages, seeking approval and public hearing. Thank you. Now moving on to case number 2 for this evening, PC 2025-12, Birchmile Rentals LLC. Birchmile Rentals LLC at 11100 Shady Lane Drive, Plymouth, Indiana 46563, is requesting for a zoning map amendment from C3 Corridor Commercial District to R4 Multifamily Residential District of a 3.10 acre property located at 1425 West Jefferson Street, Plymouth, Indiana 46563, identified as a parcel 50-3205-103-063 000-019, Zone C3 Corridor Commercial District. So for the proposal, the applicant is seeking to rezone the property from C3 Corridor Commercial to R4 Multifamily. Here's that subject property. For those of you that are on BZA, you've seen their case come before you previously on the smaller lot to the northwest corner of that cutout for the addition of an additional duplex within that space. So they're coming back before us to rezone the remainder of the property to move forward with some additional development opportunities, which is showcased here back from a 1994 original design and plan for the property. They won't be able to fully go forward with it as it was originally designed, because if we go back one slide, you'll see that there is a barn located on the south central side of that property, which also which sits on a slab that predated the plan itself. At one point in time when Park Jefferson apartments were being created, they put an additional foundation on the subject property and never moved forward with that development. And so when putting up the pole barn, they were able to capitalize on existing infrastructure, not only including the pad, but there was some additional plumbing and what have you tied into that pad. And so they were able to take advantage of that. And so with that understanding on the south-hand side and the southwest corner being retention, and we've had some discussions at TRC about that, you can see how the southern portion of that development won't completely come to fruition, and some different spacing matters will come into play, but in general, they'd be looking at adding some additional duplexes. Right now, they're sitting anywhere between 2 and 6, depending on how things go with the first few. Based on housing, there's a substantial need for it, but it also comes with the construction aspect to it. So, as you can see here, as we pan up and down the roadway on Jefferson and work our way into the property, that's the subject duplex that's under construction currently, that they've recently gotten approval earlier this year, and we're beginning to work into that field at the back of the property. And you can see here along that wood line, that's where they would begin with the first 2 units, creating 4 total housing units with a drive that would go towards the tree line in the rear of this picture to the east, and then continue to build around and towards the south. But initially, we're looking at the first couple of units on that north side of the development. So for the analysis, the applicant is seeking to rezone the property from C3 corridor commercial to R4 multifamily district in order to develop the proposed parcel. The lot is located on the south side of Jefferson Lincoln Highway, set between the road, a single-family residence, commercial business, and an existing apartment community. The initial project design for the complex is an addition of 4 duplexes, which will create 8 new housing units under review of the Technical Review Committee. There were no initial red flags to the development based on the rezoning of the property. The TRC will continue to work with the developer through the final designs of the project, as it will likely occur in phases. So for your determination tonight on whether to provide a favorable or unfavorable or no recommendation to the City Council, you're going to be taking these 5 matters into consideration, including the comprehensive plan, current conditions, desired use, property values, and responsible growth. So for comprehensive plan, the comprehensive plan designates the area for transitional mixed use and traditional neighborhood. The comprehensive plan on multiple occasions discusses the need for a mixture of housing options to create availability for the city's workforce. The developer is seeking to continue building affordable housing for residents to come into the city. The subject property is located on the south side of Jefferson and Lincoln Highway, set between the road, a single-family residence, a commercial business, and an existing apartment community. The desired use of the property is to develop the property to maximize its potential while respecting the context that that parcel sits within. For property values, the impact on the adjacent property should be minimal due to the already commercialized area in which it sits and accompanying denser development. For responsible growth, the responsible development of the parcel through long-term connectivity improvements will assist in reasonable growth. For recommendation based on the information provided and reviewed by the Technical Review Committee, staff would recommend approval of the proposed rezoning of the subject property from C3 corridor commercial to the R4 multifamily district. Now it is up for board determination on the matter. Any questions, comments for staff?
Would you explain or define for me again duplex? I know what they are, but what are the, what do I want to say? The rules and criteria. Yeah, the criteria for making a duplex.
So, from a structure standpoint, you can think about it as 2 homes that are sandwiched together with a firewall that runs through the middle. Greater detail to that, I'll defer to the building commissioner, but in general, it's a simple way to think about it. They've got to have a fire separation between the 2 in order to provide some safety in between the 2 different units. But it's an ability to provide a different level of housing or a different type of housing for individuals. They may not need the entirety of a single family structure, but they can use something a little bit more efficient to be able to use their space.
Is there parking included in?
Yes. So the parking, as it was laid out back in '94, had a driveway in between the fronts of the buildings and parking on the sides of the structure. With some conversations with the applicant, they're looking to put the parking in front, similar to how they have it now. So if you can picture back to some of the images we looked at just a little bit ago, they have some existing duplexes that are there now. And you can see, yep, right there. So on the screen you can see how the duplex has parking in front of it, and then you've got 2 strips of asphalt creating the driveway itself. It would be in a similar fashion that they'd be proposing to build this next extension series. So more or less a carbon copy of what you're seeing there and what they're building now. They're looking to continue to expand across that property with additional residential opportunities for the city.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is just a recommendation, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so you're just making a recommendation to whether or not you agree with the rezoning change for this property for city council to take into consideration. They're going to receive a similar presentation regardless. It's just a matter of which direction do you believe to go with that parcel.
And the city gets twice as much taxes.
Yeah.
On a duplex is what they do.
You get to play 2% instead of 1%.
I don't play in.
I just said the city gets twice as much taxes on a duplex as what you would on a single family home.
I don't claim to be a tax whiz.
Yeah, I know, but that's just what my recommendation is, or that's what it is, I know it is. Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to PC 25, or 2025-12 to send a favorable. Oh,
I don't know if the applicant has anything they would like to
Oh,
add, or
okay.
if there's any members of the
Do you
public
have
that would like to
anything to
speak
add?
on this case.
okay.
Okay,
We'll have to
so-
have a hearing or a public hearing.
Yeah,
Yes, we do have a public hearing on this
Oh,
one.
you do?
yes. Do we
I
have a
make a
motion?
motion, we open it up for a public hearing.
It's been moved, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There being none, does anyone have anything for or against, or any questions?
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
It's been moved? Yes. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now, if there's a motion,
I'd like to make a motion to send a favorable recommendation for PC 2025-12.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. We'll vote by roll call, please.
Eads,
Yes.
Gidley,
Yes.
Pinkerton,
Yes,
Sellers,
Yes.
Webster,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Peace.
Yes.
that's why it didn't work. So moving on to our next item of business will be the building commissioner's update. Mr. Building Commissioner, do you have anything you wish to add this evening?
I have nothing. See, Jim.
Seeing nothing on his part, the following item to that is the comprehensive plan update. We had our large-scale comprehensive plan committee meeting last Thursday. It feels like significantly longer than that.
It feels like a month ago, but it was just
Um,
Thursday.
Overall, it went excellently, making some great progress. Jeff and I are currently coordinating on making sure we've got the task tracker up to date, which is the several boards that are around the walls. And we've made additional progress on that, so we're very excited about it by bringing projects that haven't started online. Others have been completed, and so continuing the progress of that's been extremely excellent to see. And approaching that 2-year mark, we're looking forward to celebrating some additional milestones, those sorts of things. So very exciting to see a comprehensive plan that typically takes anywhere between 20 and 30 years to accomplish, having a lot of substantial compliance and updates done within 2 years is truly fascinating and a testament to the city. And then the last item on the agenda, I believe, is just next meeting will be October 7th, if I date correctly. And that'll all be pending applications coming forward in the future. Comments, questions for staff?
No questions?
So we're gonna have a busy October.
Every day's an adventure, and that's a
For
month
you.
from now, and I couldn't tell
For
you.
you.
No one else has anything to
I
say?
do have one question on the code enforcement report. I don't see any abandoned cars dealt with for the entire year. Are there any abandoned cars? I seem like I see an awful lot of them, but
The police department handles the abandoned cars within the city.
I know the police chief said that he was going to have an initiative to.
If you drive through the city, you can see all the tags that he's been tagging on them.
I've seen quite a few tagged,
Can
yeah.
we get a report the next month on what the activity's been on that?
So we can try to get that. I know that the police department submits a report to the council once a month, so we can pull their reports. And I just wanted to share, one of the things that Mayor Listenberger has been really focused on is revising our code enforcement process, documenting the current process, and then creating updated procedures. Part of the reason for that is because there's been some confusion about what aspects are handled by the building commissioner, what's done by the police department, what's done by other departments, or who all is involved. So we're in the process of developing better procedures for code enforcement, and we should have some updates on that once we work through that process. It'll probably be a few more months before we have it finalized, but
Do we have a code enforcement officer?
well, that's part of the question. Depending on which code you're talking about and what type of enforcement,
Okay.
like I said, for a lot of code enforcement, zoning ordinance, and
Yeah.
most city code violations, the building commissioner takes responsibility for those. For some things, it's the police department, so like parking and abandoned vehicles, that's all handled by the police department.
So
There's-
does, it seems like I remember that they used to say that the code enforcement officer had to be deputized. Is Dennis deputized so he can do his code enforcement?
That's a different type of code. There's nothing as far as our code enforcement within the city that requires anyone to be deputized.
I thought Mayor.
Did you carry a
I think Mayor Center had.
There may be some law enforcement activities that are related to code enforcement.
I thought that actually to be
If-
able to go onto somebody's property, they needed to be deputized.
Well, there's certain things that have to be, in order to go onto property, there are certain conditions that have to be met.
I just don't want Dennis to be in a situation where, somebody says, you can't be on my property, and he should have been
Right,
deputized.
Can I speak on that?
yep, absolutely.
Doesn't matter. The only law enforcement that I know of that can actually walk on your property is a game warden.
Correct,
So
Okay.
correct.
just a county sheriff or a city officer cannot just walk onto somebody's property without due cause. To do an inspection, you have to get an inspection warrant to go on. Normally, you just go to the door, knock on the door, tell them who you are, and hopefully they're gracious enough to allow you access to their property. 'Cause otherwise, you get the inspection warrant, you come back. If it's me, I'm gonna get an inspection warrant. I'm gonna come back with either the local sheriff or city police officer with me.
I know everybody wants to get out of here, but what about like an unsafe building inspection?
I cannot walk in unless I have permission from the owner or the tenant.
So if the tenant files a complaint, that's permission.
If the
for
tenant files a complaint and gives me permission to enter their residence,
Their unit.
their unit, I can go in.
So any action that Dennis takes is either based on what is observable from a public space, or he has to be given permission to access the property. If permission is denied and he has reason to believe that there's something on the property that is an unsafe condition or other code violation, then we have to apply to the court for an inspection warrant in almost the same process as the police applying for a search warrant.
Jeff, I got a question about vehicles. If someone has cars in their backyard that aren't licensed, is that considered an abandoned vehicle?
That is a violation, yes. And I know that Chief Weir has been diligent about identifying those and taking action against them. Anything else?
Even if they've got a plate, current plate on them?
Well, that wasn't the question. He asked if they're not registered. If they are registered
and they appear to be operable, then that's not a violation.
If they're out
Yeah.
of date,
Yeah.
current.
I do have a question that goes back to the point, why we're here. That property
back to
was, that property is encumbered by a lawsuit from the Attorney General, is that correct?
So the Attorney General did obtain a judgment in that lawsuit, so there is currently a judgment lien against the property.
Okay.
I have been told, I have not looked it up, been told that there is another lawsuit pending against the property owners, which could result in an additional judgment lien.
Will that stop the demolition of that building? Until the suits are settled?
It will not prevent the city from taking demolition action. What would probably happen in that case is if the city has to take action to demolish it, then we would also file a lien on the property for the cost of the demolition. So you'd be stacking liens. Unfortunately, we don't get priority treatment as a lien for demolition, so we get in line after the existing liens.
Junior lien holder?
Yeah, we would be the junior, we're last in line, yes.
I was.
At this point, there could be more coming.
And I was curious about that because there was a lawsuit pending. And whether you could proceed with the demolition of that.
Yes.
Because that was encumbered in a lawsuit.
Yeah, now, I mean, I think theoretically, and I'm not gonna give them legal advice, but theoretically, they could seek some sort of injunction to stop the city from demolishing it while they're resolving things, but they have not done that.
I was more concerned about making sure the city was well covered.
Yep.
Should they decide to go in and tear it down, and then, you know, we could
Yes,
be on the hook for, we could be on the hook for something because we demolished some of the value of the
No,
property.
there's nothing that restricts the city from taking action, as
Okay.
long as we follow the correct legal procedures.
Okay, good, that was a question I had.
Don't you think that if the city had to actually pay the 70,000, whatever it costs to tear this down, that Mr. Wakita would gladly back away so that the city could recoup their money first?
I can't speak for the Attorney General's office.
the Attorney
I
General-
have discussed the situation with the staff attorneys in the Attorney General's office. They are aware of the city's potential action, and if it comes to it, we hopefully could work with them to find some resolution, but I can't speak for them.
From
Might
what-
give $2 just so he
From
sees he got
from what I read on this, isn't the Attorney General representing the former tenants of that building?
Well, the Attorney General is representing the state of Indiana, but
But-
the basis of the judgment was compensation for, a portion of it was compensation for the residents.
That's what I-
So if they were to settle that judgment, it would be at the expense of those residents' compensation. Again, that's getting into a lot of speculation, and like I said, I can't speak for the Attorney General's office. I don't know what they would do or agree to.
Oh, I think we all know what he'd agreed to.
Well, I'll let him speak for himself.
That was my only question I had.
Yeah, but to your initial question, yes, the city can proceed
Proceed with
if we
this,
choose to
okay.
with the demolition. If the property is listed for sale, if it were to be sold, I would presume that they would require a clear title be delivered as part of that sale, which means all of the liens would have to be satisfied.
It's not going anywhere.
I don't know, again, a lot of speculation, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You'd be spending $500,000, $600,000, $700,000.
How about chickens?
You ready for me?
Make a motion to,
I move we adjourn.
I was going to do that. Did I make a
That's my
motion?
job. Age before beauty, John. Age before beauty.
Well, that's sure age.
Do we have a second?
Somebody second.
I'll second it.
All right, we can go home then. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed?
Seeing how we made it out here in 30 minutes, can we say it?
What do you
I
want to talk to us
need
about?
Alex and Paul to stay real quick.